Okay, so we just passed 2.5k and the legs suddenly got some spring in them. Okay, so for the first time in a while, we're actually going to do a training video. And one of the things I'm going to really push in my training in the next little while is running. Now, for most cyclists, cross-country, etc., and road cyclists, I wouldn't recommend running as a major part of your training at all. Something to do every now and again, but definitely not a major part. If, however, you're doing a load of descending, and that's what I'm really training for. With enduro, that's where you're timed on. That's where you really need to excel. And with downhill, that's where you also really need to excel in a major way. You've only got one chance for it. So the thing that really fatigues when I'm descending personally, and what you really find is that it's the consistent compressions on the legs and the vibration. Now both of those things take a heavy toll on the legs. So running is a really good way of having that constant repetition of cycling the legs through a small range of motion with impact, and that impact can simulate some of the vibration you're going to come up against when you're descending. So that's my theory. If you want to hear some of the evidence behind that, if you want to listen to Lewis Kirkwood chatting on the Downtime podcast, it gives a really good insight into how much vibration and impact can have an effect on your strength throughout a run. So yeah, running. We're gonna head through the village, gonna head up that hill up there, and then it drops down in towards a nature reserve. Gonna give that a shot. I don't know how far it is actually, we'll see. Let's get some music on. Okay, take 2. I forgot to put the trap door on the side of the GoPro and it looks like it's gonna rain. Gonna go for that again. Okay, so not even a kilometre in. And the first thing that's fatigued, lower abs and obliques. We're going to be doing fatigue watch on this run, see what goes first. Flat section's over, starting to head up the hill. Got about a kilometre of climb before we get to the peak and we start to descend again. You'll notice when you get to the top of a climb, it's your glutes that have gone. Which is really good practice when you're cycling because your glutes are taking a lot of the brunt in as well. Main thing to do at the top of a climb is to keep the pace, keep running, recover whilst moving. Don't stop. Reached the top of the hill. We are 1.7 kilometers in. Now starting to go downhill. This is where your quads will get burnt up a lot more. And the downhill running, just trying to roll off the toe. Try not to heel strike too hard. Keep the weight through the toes or the ball of the foot where the pedal will be when you're riding. And this will simulate the impacts you're getting and it'll build up endurance to that. House goals up in there. It's got its own lake, loch if you're Scottish. Okay, so we just passed 2.5k and the legs suddenly got some spring in them. It just must have warmed up enough. Suddenly they're popping off the ground so much better. Strides up. Feeling good. Okay, now that I'm warmed up and the pace has picked up, that was a 5:51 kilometre for the 3rd kilometre. So 20 seconds quicker than the previous one. Okay, so halfway point. How many kilometers are we? 3.36. So maybe go a wee bit past and we'll get up to the 7K by the end of it. Whew. Not too bad. Right, fatigue levels. Abs aren't as bad now. However, hip flex on this side is starting to give me jip. So just the external rotation needs to happen, because otherwise it's slipping in and it's starting to give me some jip. So I'm gonna work on that. Might actually stretch that out just quickly. Get yourself with your leg up and just sink down into that. Ugh. It's one of the stretches we've done before for the Monroes and just cycling in general, but just your hip mobility. Hip feeling better immediately. Legs don't feel quite as tight, in kind of in a not good way though. It means I don't have as much pop out the legs. Just gotta stop briefly and stretch. So if you can avoid stretching whilst on the run, then go for it. One thing I'll bang on about until I'm old and grey is mechanics. Now with running, it's a good opportunity to practice your upper back and neck mechanics. So when you're running, try and keep the head up, look to the horizon line, don't get into this trap, because then my upper back goes, and actually the mechanics of my lower body are affected too. When you're riding, you want to keep the eyes up and heels down. So running uphill, eyes up, great practice for that. Top of the last major hill. Now it's time to get down and get home. I'm gonna try and make it to 7K, so I'll go a bit past. The thing with running, and really any fitness at all, you kind of need to make it your religion to really make it work. And just past everyone going to church on Sunday there, man, that's 1 day a week, and that's religion. So it doesn't have to be as intense as 5 days a week. Just gotta be consistent. 7K done in the time of, I don't know how to see what time I did it. I'm gonna look it up when I get back in. I was thinking about what I was saying about religion. A bit deep, I know. The thing is, like, if you're, you know, a Christian, I mean, whatever faith you are, most of the time it's, well, for some faiths, 1 day a week. That's the only commitment you need to be a devout religious believer. So in that respect, like, if you can do 1 day, just 1 day of training per week, then you're as religious about it as the average churchgoer. And I think that's the thing, like, those people are fairly normal in most respects. When you get to the level where someone's like, when you're going to, you're going to church every day, that's far more devout. And you're getting into some of the more specialist forms of religion. And that would be a competitive athlete, you know, CrossFit Games athlete, downhill rider, cross-country World Cup rider, enduro racer. At the top end, devout every single day, is devoted to their religion, which is being better, performance, fitness, mobility, nutrition. And that's the extreme end of the religion. You don't have to go that far. If you can do it 1 day a week, then that's great. Running, it's a really simple way to get some training in. If you're wanting to get yourself in shape quickly, start running, start bringing up the distances. It's that monostructural cardio which is going to really help, I think, transform your metabolism and your fitness in the early days. And it's a good thing to just have in the bag. If you're traveling, you can always go for a run. But like I was saying at the beginning, it's a brilliant one if you're doing a descent-based mountain bike discipline, because the main things that you're really cooking on a descent are going to be calves down here, hamstrings, quads, and the glutes. I just showed you my ass. And running is a really good way of staying at the top of the range of motion of those, and just going through slight bends, slight hip hinge, slight knee hinge, and doing that repeatedly. So you've got the ankle, the knee, and the hip all hinging to a certain degree, and doing it repeatedly with impact, because that impact and vibration and absorption part of the descending is the bit that people don't train for enough. I think that's a universal truth. It's something people are starting to realize, but if you come from a training background like CrossFit or strength and conditioning, and you see the levels of vibration and impact that they're having to handle on a bike, it's one of the first things I'll be training.